Ta-da! Hi guys, Iryna here, doing my Facebook Live challenge. This is day 6 and I just really enjoying it. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that actually recently happened in my life. And I'm also, I don't know if you in human design, if anybody knows human design, but I'm a line 6, I'm a 6-2, and I don't know much about human design, but I like that kind of typology. And they say that line 6 is a role model. And so basically what I'm meant to do on this planet, according to human design, is to teach through my lived experience. And so I'm thinking, well, as I'm doing this live, I'm gonna talk about the teachings that I have for you through my lived experience, through my my own life. And I was going through this experience very recently. So, little backstory, I am a psychotherapist in private practice. I do therapy intensives. It's a really 6-hour intensive therapy days where I can come to clients and we do this deep work together. So I like to get kind of deep in there and work closely with people for some time. And then sometimes we do this intensives and clients go on their own and live their lives, and then they go back and do it again or whatnot. And so I had really busy months. So January, February, March, I was completely booked out and I was doing so much work. I was just like, I felt like I was thriving. Honestly, it was a little bit maybe too much. I did like 3 intensive last week of March and I was just like, oh my God, this is a lot, right? So it's a lot of like emotional healing work. But I love it. I love my work. And then April came and it kind of quieted down. And it's very normal in my practice where I get waves of, I do a lot of work with clients and then it's a little quiet time and I take care of myself, right? And so this quieter time came and I'm noticing like I'm unable to relax. I'm suddenly I have time on my calendar and that's what I wanted. So I can go on this nature walks and I can go floats and do yoga, do things really what I like. So I can fill my own cup. So when the next wave of clients gonna come, I am really resourced, have the energy, I can provide space for them. And instead, I was like, I'm unable to I felt so much fear come up, fear, self-judgment. There was like all these feelings that suddenly came up for me while I have this time to really enjoy myself. And I was like, well, this is really interesting, right? Logically, I know that, okay, it's good that I have this time now. I can, it's normal for my business, go kind of up and down, and now I have time to myself. And this is good. This is a good time for me to nurture myself. But emotionally, do you know how sometimes you logically know that, I don't know, you logically know that you're safe, you logically know that you're loved, I don't know, you logically know all of this, but your emotional experience is completely different, right? And that's how we know that our life is not guided and governed by our mind and intellect. Our life and experience is really guided more by our emotions and our state, our energetic state. So even if we know something rationally, if we're not feeling it, if it's not real for us and if it's not really in our body, the mind doesn't really have that much influence and power on our lives. So here I am knowing that, I'm okay, it's normal for kind of after this big expansion for me to have a little bit of a contraction, a little bit of a going inside and doing maybe my own work and focusing on myself and filling my own cup. But I'm completely unable to relax, to drop in and focus on myself. I'm just fear and judgment and all these feelings come up. So I was like, whoa, wait a second. Something is coming up for me, for my own process, for my healing, for me to learn a lesson so then I can guide people through this lesson myself, right? That's how it works in my life. Whenever usually life gives me a lesson and then I go through something and then I come out on the other side and then I can offer clients to guide them through the similar experience. So I am feeling all these feelings, okay? And that's what I do. I learned, and that's exactly the same process I do with my clients that I do with myself. I always focus on the emotional work. So again, the mind has stories, the mind kind of has its own ideas. It's whatever it says, that doesn't matter because it's not in the mind and the logic that we find that we move through things and come on the other side. It's really in our emotional experience. And it's deeper work, right? It's deeper. It's not on the level of thought. It's actually going deeper in how you're feeling, going into your body, and accessing that and working with that. That's gonna carry you on the other side. So here I am, having this downtime, completely unable to relax and enjoy it. I don't know if you ever felt that, but I'm sure my high achieving, overachieving, very success-driven people can relate that downtime is scary. Downtime doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel safe when I'm not producing, when I'm not performing, when I'm not chasing that next goal. And even though I just achieved this great success, I had just had this amazing 3 months, I made the money I wanted to make, this is like the time to celebrate. I'm completely unable to do it because in my system, that doesn't feel safe. That doesn't feel like I can do it because my whole system, my whole conditioning is about the next goal, the next achievement. And in that achievement, in the process of that achievement, that's the only place where I feel safe. Because why? Drum roll, big reveal. Well, what I learned is that, oh, my sister Sola is here. Hi. And what I learned is that only through that achieving, through that performance, I basically put my worthiness in that achievement and in the result. So when I'm not pursuing the result and I'm just relaxing and I'm going for walks or taking care of myself, it just doesn't, it's like my system is like, no, something's off. We need to do the next goal. We need to it's not right. My whole system is like having this reaction to me enjoying my downtime. So I really sat with this feeling. So a lot of times when I'm not busy working, my own process starts to unfold, right? Like my own healing happens a lot of times. And I realized that a lot of times, this working, the work ties into achievement, success, productivity, and that gives me purpose. So because of my conditioning, because of how I learned to be loved and be loved for what I produce and the results that I have, I associate and I put my worthiness into this results and success and even money that I make. And then now, if it's there, if it's tied into those things, whatever the external result is, whatever the external success looks like, I'm really dependent on that. And I'm really, really like always craving that and chasing that and running after that. And when I don't have that, and I feel like life has given me a chance to heal this dynamic right now by kind of like removing that block, right? Or removing that. And sometimes that's what happens. Like that could be like our greatest healing can happen through, and you can say God, life, whatever you believe in, universe can remove that from you, your outward, your success. You could get laid off if you're really attached to your job or your title, and then it gets removed or gets you are set free from that. Then what's underneath that, if you're really tied into it, or you're like, you have money is taken away somehow, your worth can be tied into a relationship and being, I don't know, like married and coupled, and then that's also taken away somehow it just falls apart. And then you then really met with what's underneath of that, right? Like you are then this external thing and validation is removed, then that can be a great opportunity and gift, even though in the moment it doesn't feel like that, because now whatever is you know, was covering it up, compensating, now is removed from you, and you met what's underneath. So it was a great opportunity for me to have this break and really sit with myself during that time and feel my unworthiness come up. Like, oh my God, when I am actually resting, when I'm not working, when I'm not productive, I feel useless. I feel unworthy. I don't enjoy my own being. And I saw that very clearly as my pattern, and it gave me opportunity to say, like, wait a second, no, let me backtrack. Let me actually tune into connection with myself and my own being, and how much I actually value my being and value myself for just my being, for my essence, not for what I produce. But it definitely took some sort of, I kind of like, you know, how sometimes you lose your way and you go this one direction, and then you have to backtrack and find your way again, find your alignment. And I was like, well, what are my values really? What does success really looks like for me? And really, it's not a lot of what we consider, you know, society values or society success, like money, power, possessions, right, or status of a job. It's really, for me, it's like relationships. And I do like this exercise, and I like to think about the exercise, like when I'm dying and I'm looking back on my life, like, what will I remember? I probably remember working, but more, it's not about like how much money I made, but more about like this connection with my clients that I had, and how I helped somebody to move through something difficult. And I was really that this relationships that I develop, and how we connect, right? And how we experience this humanness together, this like, it's just like life. And I'm probably gonna remember the times I played with my children, and how the relationships I had with them, and the time I spent with my husband. So it would be more about that. So how's that I'm valuing that on the inside, like deep inside, those are my values. But now I am chasing this like external goal, right? And that's the misalignment that makes our life so unfulfilling, is when our deeper truth of who we are and what we value doesn't align with our actions and behavior, because of we're run by some conditioning or some program that tells you you need to, because, you know, the society values X, Y, and Z, you also need to do this, and you step out of your own truth and your own values, your own just your own guidance, and follow that, follow the external pressure and the external rules and goals, right, instead of your own deeper truth. And so I really like experienced that this time. I feel like life, God, nature, universe wanted to remind me that okay, like, hold on, like, you're off track here. You are getting caught up in this game again, that it's not right. You need to like go back to yourself, and this is how I'm gonna help you, by removing this external distractions, really, so you get to experience what was coming up. Another part of me for healing, for just for me to see her and to say that, hey, I actually value you, your own being, more than money, more than success. Like, your being is much more valuable to me. And I that would be actually a good exercise if you're looking to. I'm a deep believer in doing inner child work. I think I know it might be like, I'm not sexy at this point. Nobody wants to do. Everybody's like, whatever. But I do find it's like most of our pain points and more difficult experience, like more pain and wounding, does come from childhood. Statistically, that's true. Probably by like age of 5, we experience our deepest wounds, and then it's mostly repetition. And so I do like to I do like and recommend that connecting to like this little parts of you, and like imagining that like the part of you, or actually not like just imagining in my head, but really feeling her in my body, where I located like how like a lot of my process have been here. So more like, okay, going into that feeling and really like seeing her and delighting in her. So I will imagine doing that as from the position of now being like this loving parent. And I like this process. It's called internal ideal parent protocol. Something my husband is doing actually, which is great. Like he studied it, and he studied a lot of like attachment theory. So we were just having this conversation with him yesterday actually, about, he reminded me about like, oh, it's actually really like becoming this attuned, loving, secure parent to yourself. And it works amazing. Like if you feeling some of that like wounding or early your inner child coming up for healing, like it was for me, like this maybe weepiness or sensitivity, like vulnerability. You probably have your own signs when you feel the part of you that's the child part of you is calling for attention. So when she was coming up for you, and he reminded me, oh, like, yeah, it's a lot about like your own going inside and giving that love, attunement and nutrients and delight to yourself. So a lot of times we were not delighted in as children, and delight is just such a wonderful feeling. It's like I delighted my children all the time, and it's so natural. Like when you see them and they're so just they're so, I don't know, delightful. I don't know how to explain it. It's a feeling, right? If you look at your children and you're like, oh my God, like how wonderful. You're just so amazing. I don't know. You don't need to do anything. And for those of you who are parents, so I think it's easier for us to learn that because it's so natural for us to feel it with our children, where like looking at your child and knowing that your child doesn't need to produce any results, doesn't need to make any money, doesn't need to be successful anyway for you to love them or to find them delightful. And then you take the same feeling, like, oh, just you are so delighted, I'm just delighting in your being, and you go in and you, from this position of you now being this nurturing, attuned adult to yourself, you're doing it for that little part of you that's coming up for healing, that doesn't feel good, that's maybe fearful, maybe she's feeling guilt or any of those, childhood charged feeling, or she's not feeling worthy. Like for me, it was unworthiness. A lot of unworthiness was coming up when I finally got to rest and didn't have to work so hard. And so when I went inside of myself and I just gave her that love and just saying, that feeling when I'm looking at her and I'm seeing her, I'm delighting her. I'm now that attuned, loving parent, and I'm delighting her being. And I just, not maybe with my words, but with my state, with my relationship with her, I'm telling her, wow, you're so beautiful. Your being is so beautiful. And I love you unconditionally, not for what you do, for just doesn't matter. I don't care what you do. You're still precious to me. And when I gave it to myself, my state changed a lot. It was a big change. It's sometimes it's like we forget about that state, and we forget, and some people, maybe we don't have access to that state, and that's what makes it hard. Because once we do, and once we give it to ourselves, it's just so like the energy is back, the aliveness is back, the just life is good again. It's like this feeling of like, oh, whew, the weight was on my shoulders and I'm ready to be alive again, right? And so that's really the healing that happens when we do this work with ourselves. Just sometimes when we were not modeled that, or we don't have access to to that state really, because it is a state, a certain state of delighting in ourselves, it's really hard. And then you have to find some examples from your life, because from maybe outside, like learning that relationship from outside and then internalizing, bringing it inside. And I remember I didn't have that feeling at first. And, you know, for a long time, I just didn't know what it was. Like, I never experienced that in my childhood. And then I remember this one teacher. He was a Buddhist teacher in a monastery we used to go to with my husband. And every time he met at me, and I might or might not start crying when I say this, because it still like touches me so deeply. But every time he would see me, he would just look at me and he would just say, "So how are you?" And he would like look at me with so much care and so much like genuine interest in me, in how I'm doing. And I felt it, that I would just be like, you know, my heart would like break into, I would just like be like, oh, start sobbing. And it still brings emotion when I think about that, because it was the first time I was, through my spiritual teachers, the first time I felt like their genuine care for my being, not for what I do or for what, you know, how what looks like on paper or something, but for actual being of me, for just, yeah, it's for like looking at me and see me for who I am. It was, and that's what I go back to. That's the experience I go back to, and then I bring it inside, and then I learn how to relate to myself in that way that they modeled it so beautifully, and how yeah, it's just so beautiful how we get modeled those missing pieces through some teachers. So I actually was reminded of that today, how like we need support and we need help with those pieces, because sometimes we don't have it inside, and so the teacher's gonna become the I don't know, in the sad, like how to name it, but the models, I guess, the models for that, how I want to be with myself. Okay, that felt good. So let me see if there's anything else I want to say. My main point was that if you can't feel satisfied and you can't rejoice and you can't feel satisfied with your achievement and success, even if you might have it, if you have it, but you still feel unsatisfied, maybe it's because you are putting your worthiness into it. If you're misplacing your worthiness, you're taking it outside of yourself and you're putting it in something, and then that doesn't feel fulfilling, because then you always feel like you need this thing, and you just don't feel it inside. You lost it inside, you lost access to it inside. So now the work is really letting go of that external thing, coming back and finding that place inside, unconditional feeling that with yourself. So that's really how, and then when my state is changed and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm worthy, I don't need this external thing, I don't need to chase it, and I can let go of it, then now I can enjoy my downtime. I feel full in myself. I don't need something outside of myself, and I feel like my whole nervous system relaxed, and now it's satisfying to have this downtime. It's satisfying to go on walks. I get to like just fully be and enjoy and be present and enjoy my full of being, because I'm not missing anything. I'm whole. I'm connected to my wholeness. And that's what creates satisfaction in your life, where you don't have to chase it outside yourself. So whenever chasing it outside of yourself, then that's that's not gonna do it. That's gonna create again this cycle of dissatisfaction. So I'm wishing you finding that in yourself, and the freedom and enjoyment and peace that comes with it. And I think that would be my message for today. And yeah, let me know how it landed for you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.